Vladimir, which brings me to a question which has been in my mind, that are the karmendriyas the way to knowledge, or is it the jnanendriyas? Because at our level, action is the only knowledge that really we can know. So I think somehow that it is the organs of action, especially these organs of speech, etc., which probably are our way to knowledge at our level. Later on, this may change, but this is I mean, it is only perhaps when he talks about doing works, verily doing works in this world, he is actually talking about utilizing our karmendriyas
Yeah,
rather than our jnanendriyas. What?
absolutely, absolutely. Utilizing karmendriyas, which is never done properly, yes, because karmendriyas are blocking jnanendriyas. So they are not, and because of that, if we have freed karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, then we can apply that freedom of theirs, so they are not running after the object of enjoyment anymore. So they can introduce the inner light. They can be the intermediaries or those mediators to the innermost light and allow it to reach to the surface. That means they will start illumining the action of karmendriyas. And thus, and not otherwise, karma does not create consequences. This is the idea of the second verse of the Isha, yes.
Okay.
And
Thank
the
you.
whole karma yoga is based on this, that secret knowledge of the Gita, karma yoga. Why freedom from the fruit of action? Why we have to be free from the palam of the karma phala, or whatever you call it. You have the right for the action, but not for its fruit result. Why? Because then you free the jnanendriyas, and they become the mediators of inner light, which they are actually. They just lost their way because they are running for the satisfaction, self-satisfaction. And because of that, they are playing different role. They create that ego sense, desire. Desire is built in them. They have to free themselves from desire. That means they have to allow the inner light to reach to the surface and illumine those karmendriyas who grew from the inconscient. They grew up as the representatives of jnanendriyas, but their
Okay.
source is different. They
Okay.
do not know how to act in the sacrificial way. They don't know how to sacrifice, and they have to learn. And they may learn once jnanendriyas are free. I like what you brought, jnanendriyas, karmendriyas, so we can speak different language of Sankhya in this way. I think we are dealing with the same knowledge, only in different languages again. So once we are not bewildered by languages, we can see what we have to do. And actually, it is not so difficult to free one's own jnanendriyas. One has to agree to do it, first of all, to really stop them from running for their own self-satisfaction. There will be a gap. There will be some kind of transition, which will feel like you are dying, you have no sense to live anymore, Why do you have to live if there is no joy in life, if you cannot satisfy your senses? But then the transition will take place and they will start feeling that inner light. And they will be much more fulfilled and much happier in their own action, because they will be finding their true dharma, svadharma, to allow the inner light to reach to the surface. That's their purpose. They just lost it on the way.
I'm going to interrupt here and ask a really basic question. Kinshak, I have no idea what you're talking about. Was it common nodes or whatever? I'm not familiar with that. So the last few minutes, you and
what we were talking was
about something that I had no idea what you were talking about.
I can explain. You will like it. Karmendriyas are the actions or senses of action. Yeah, there are 5 of them: speech, hands, action by hands, actions by feet, by legs. We are walking, we are grabbing, giving, pushing. Yeah, these are the sense organs of our action. Speech is also an action organ. We communicate always our wishes, our intentions. We are always expressing ourselves to others to be understood. This is an action. And then we have 2 lower activities. These are organs of excretion. So we cast out everything. That's also acting upon the world. Yeah? We take in and we cast out. And organs of procreation. We cast the seed. So we create the different being outside. These are all outer-oriented from our body. If you look at our body, what connects us to the outer world is speech, hands, feet, moving us around, yeah, into the contact, casting out all from our system, and procreating. And these are 5 karmendriyas. Interesting. Yeah? And these karmendriyas are the problem for our inner perception. The moment we become active outside, we become we lose our inner perception. So to say, in order to perceive our inner consciousness, we have to stop being active with karmendriyas. That's why yoga developed a particular way of becoming passive, becoming, as Sri Aurobindo says, even consciously passive. So to say, we have to stop moving. That's why yoga, you sit in the posture, yeah? You relax totally, you don't move. Yoga is not movement, it's a statics. Why static? Because you have to dive in. And to dive in, you have to stop moving hands, feet, speech. You have to become silent, not only in speech, but in the mind. You have to stop thinking. You have to stop even breathing. And then you will have a chance to dive deeper inside. The moment you start acting outside, just try with the hands, the inner perception immediately is diminished. So how to be active and perceptive at the same time? This is the biggest dilemma of our psychology. We can't be. We can be either perceptive or active. When we are active, we are less conscious. When we are conscious, we are less active. So this division on consciousness and power has to be reduced. They have to come back, as it were. So how to be active and conscious at the same time? And this is Karma Yoga. So he found a way how to do that. So you have to reduce your interest in the result. Then you will allow the jnanendriyas, and jnanendriyas are seeing, hearing, yes, touching. These are the jnanendriyas. They are active representatives of consciousness. So for them to reach to the surface and be activated while we are active is very difficult. For that, they have to reduce their interest in the self-enjoyment, self-satisfaction and connect to the inner light, become the mediators of the inner light, allow the inner light to reach, because they are the only connection between the inner light and the surface. Through them, like bridges, the inner light of spirit can reach. Without them, the inner spirit cannot reach to the surface, cannot illumine the karmendriyas, the senses of action. So this is the whole dilemma.
Thank you.
Hmm.
I understand much more now. Thank you.
Right. It's a profound thing, yeah. It's the whole yoga is built on this. All yogic experience is to become inactive in order to reach to the innermost being, consciousness. It went so far that Advaita appeared, that you have to leave altogether outer life. If you want to reach to the inner and stay there, so drop it off. Yeah? But not in the Upanishads, not in the Gita, not in the Veda. Their purpose was to connect the inner and outer, and not to leave the outer for the inner.
It reminds me a little bit of what Jayashree was talking about this fall, when she was talking about being consciously asleep.
Yeah, very,
Yeah.
very true. Very
Yeah,
true.
yeah. And that's something that I still practice or try to practice. So it's very prevalent with me right now.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. So in the state where we are unconscious, we can be conscious. This is actually the proper meditation. That's how Sri Aurobindo explains the meditation. He says, when you fall asleep, you don't fall asleep. And this is meditation. When the body falls asleep, totally relaxed, mind is silent, you do not fall asleep. So there is a consciousness there, Purusha, who doesn't fall asleep, while everything else is asleep. And that is the meditation. Of course, when we start meditating, we fall asleep totally. That's how we meditate. Some even are snoring very loudly. They are meditating. Or we go somewhere in the mind, traveling, buying things and going to shopping and arranging a house. This is how we meditate. That means none of these are meditations, yes, because they are not allowing us to find our unborn self which is not engaged in nature. This is an amazing topic, and we find it in the texts. Texts are helping us to tune this to this higher knowledge, to kind of help our nature to understand what we are looking for and have a joy of it. Because the truth, the knowledge is actually a joy, a bliss. It creates bliss in the system, peace, light. And we are looking for this bliss. That's why we want knowledge. Otherwise, why we should want knowledge? It doesn't do anything to us. It should do something, and it does create the bliss. That's why when we are speaking about this, we are always happy. Notice we are smiling, nearly laughing, giggling, because there is some joy in it.
So true, Vladimir.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't help. My heart is like overflowing. It's like a treasure, just listening to this. Kinshuk, thank you for asking those questions.
I haven't.
Amazed.
I have. In fact, one more question. You finish, then I'll ask. It suddenly came to my mind.
Oh my God. No, I was just today I
My
was just
God.
reading the negative approach. I was not able to understand what Rohit Mehta was talking about. He went through theosophy because of my interest in all different approaches across the world. I tend to read all this, but I just got an answer listening to what Vladimir was talking about when he explained the karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. And that, and the second thing was, I was even wondering about that concept called flow. Now, this is much beyond that no, concept itself by Mihaly. In most of management things, they bring it out and they try to put it out there. But if actually somebody could dig into this, my God, this is beyond that.
No, it's a more well, it's about the very true knowledge. Yes, so to say, we have a true consciousness in us, which can reveal itself in action in the world. It is not something made up. It's not for our convenience, even. It's not about what we know already and established. Yeah? It's something. It's a freedom which we do not have in action. And it is possible for us to have it, to live active life and to be totally, as Mother says about Karma Yoga, yes, we have to take activity and do it as yoga. And that was her last message for Aurobilians. Take activity and do it as yoga. What does it really mean? How can you do activity as yoga? But every activity is yoga. Only we didn't know that. We did it for egoistic self-satisfaction. We cook food because we are hungry and not because this is the luminous activity of consciousness. Yeah?
Even talk, even listening, everything can be seen that way, no, Vladimir?
Mm.
I mean,
Yes,
the words we choose.
Yes, listening, talking.
sorry, I was just going to say offering makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Remember, and
Remember and offer. Yeah. Remember. But remember is again a key word. Yeah. Remember means you really reconnect. You have the presence. Once you have the presence, you can offer. If you don't have presence, whom do you offer it? Yeah? If it is mechanical, many people do this, and that is a religious offering. Yes, they offer to the smaller gods, to the gods of desire, to the gods, vital gods, who have to fulfill their wishes, their desires, their needs. And this exchange is established in the religion with lower gods, and that is leading nowhere. It's the same as you do it yourself somewhere in your own mind. That remember is the key. If we have the presence and we can remember, reconnect, yeah? Become a member again of that party. Mm. Yeah. And then we can offer, because we have the presence. We feel that our offering is taken. And we feel immediately that it is accepted because the growth of presence is increased. Yeah? You feel the presence stronger with offering. That's why we do offering, because the presence grows. Yes, Kinshuk, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, Vladimir, lot of the things about the gods sort of remind me of Carl Jung's archetypes. Okay, I can sort of model them around. But Jung never explained archetypes as a sound, as a source of sound or as a construction of sound. His archetypes were always visual. So could there be some connection between these? I'm totally off topic on this, but it's been a question in my mind that maybe somewhere we have archetypes made in sound, and that is what we are trying to capture in many of uh, these ancient knowledges, like the
Well,
way.
hearing and seeing, this is the two major faculties of consciousness. Yes, hearing is more pervasive into the meaning, into the meaningful relations, and seeing is more formative of the structure, so to say, which is also meaningful because the structure itself represents those relations with other beings. So they are about the same. Only one is more apprehensive, and the hearing is more comprehensive. So they are connected, and they will be about the same. Some people perceive knowledge better through seeing, others through hearing. So most probably Jung was more seeing person. And so he expressed his knowledge through seeing. There are also poets like this. I classified them for myself also. Garcia Lorca, for example, is a seeing poet, totally. He always speaks about shapes, forms, colors, you name it. Yeah, it's all his poetry in those terms. There are other poets who are more hearing. Yeah, like Japanese Tanka, Hoku. They will be more about the sense, less about the form. Form will be secondary. Yeah, but what you feel about the feelings, or about the meanings, there would be poetry of this. The same with music. If you take Bach, he will be more about hearing. He will be harmonies, the shift of harmonies, yes, more meaningful. And if you take, for example, even, I don't know, Mozart or Tchaikovsky, yeah, it's more feeling. But Mozart will be more light, more seeing. It will be a very bright light. More melody, more thread of the. So these are the two major components of consciousness which are constantly operating throughout.
Do you get a feeling that the people who wrote the Vedas were actually somewhere creatures of light who were trying to express things in terms of light? Because there's so much of light in almost every verse. Everything is about light, shining, redness, color. So
So true.
it's like these people did not think in the way we think. They thought in terms of describing everything by light. I just got this feeling while,
Some of the rishis, we will see that different rishis do different things. Yeah, some of them are more hearing, others are more seeing. Interestingly, yeah, the same as with everyone else. But both of them are needed for understanding of the truth. Truth is expressed through these two. And there is third one, touch. And the touch is something more tangible, which embodies both seeing and hearing. So it is like a very tangible presence of the being in a meaningful way. And that is touch. Interesting. And some of them are most probably also touch. We could examine them from this point of view, see who is more seeing, who is more hearing.
in touch, there'll be no doubts left at all.
Yeah.
I mean, touch will be the conclusive reality.
Yeah. And they arrive at touch. You arrive at touch anyhow. So either through hearing or through seeing, but you need to do some work to come to it. So to say, we arrive at three of them. We have to arrive at all of them in order to understand, yes? In order to embody the truth, to feel it. To feel means touch already. When you feel, you already touched. But in order to feel it in yourself, to have that vibration, you can start with seeing, and then it leads you to understanding what you see, and that understanding and seeing creates in you the sense of that feeling, emotion, which means you are touched by the being behind. And that's it. There are only three. There is nothing else. There's no smelling and tasting. These smelling and tasting are of a different nature. They already embody touch. Yeah.
Is this what the Siddhars used to say, Sandhya Bhasha, or the twilight language? I remember reading when I was very young, like the Bhoganatha and all these people who were during Patanjali's time, and they used to have this word, like they used to speak in twilight language, which none could understand. It was like almost like para, and I never understood what it was. I mean, could that mean like in light and through sound, the Vak was that high consciousness level?
Yeah, I was kind of developing your thought. I must say that what we understand in the Veda today now is a particular formation of that text and power in this context of our development. It's not the truth of the hymn. Huh? We have to know this before we proceed, because if we think that we discovered the truth, we are totally bewildered. It's not. It's just the action of the truth upon our consciousness and our context in this moment of time. It's very valuable. It's actually for that purpose they created these hymns, yeah? To act upon our consciousness and to generate new thoughts, new ideas, widen the scope, enlighten the being. That's what they do. But to say that they are about that, or that is the final truth, it would be totally inaccurate. We will discover one day the truth of these hymns, and we will be surprised how different it is from that what we think about them now.
It could mean that there is infinity, right? As far as knowledge is concerned, keeps moving on and on and on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for each level of consciousness, starting from the physical and ending with the supramental, there is always a scope. And this is the beauty of it. Yeah? It acts constantly. The word acts, generates discoveries. And on whatever level, on physical also, it doesn't matter. That's why we wonder when we read Savitri. Every time we discover something new, a new thought, a new glimpse. How is that even possible? Totally new. And once I remember we listened to the first canto of the first book with Shraddhavan. We created film, and then we watched Huta's paintings and together with Mother's voice. And I saw that what I understood about this canto is totally different from what it is. And I told this to Shraddhavan, I remember, and Shraddhavan told me, I thought the same. It was absolutely as if we were coming from elsewhere, you know. And so, but it is a power which generates in us constantly new and new vistas of knowledge. You know? So this is the beauty of these texts. That's why we want them, we come to them. We are looking for this enlightenment for us. Great, so we can stop here for today. And today was informal kind of it's not, but I prepared. It was such a beautiful continuation. You will have to see what he says there. Dirghatama Uchatya. He is the most mysterious rishi. His language is very cryptic, suggestive, generates a lot of surprise and all the time dealing with what Shobinda calls the paradox. He hits you with paradoxes, and then something in us opens up looking for answers. All right, I will close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santo Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Anyhow.